What's going on, guys? It's been a long time. So you decide to break up with your narcissist. What's that look like and what should you expect? It's not pretty. Turn this down a little bit here. What does that look like? Well, in many cases, for a lot of people, you need to be prepared for what is going to be the fight of your life. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's start off with some introductions. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Bernie, and I am a truck driver. Specifically, I am a tour truck driver. I go out on concert tours with bands and artists, musical artists, and travel all across the country, all across the United States doing concerts. And it's like any other truck driving, probably a little more exciting in some ways and a lot more boring in others. That being said, those that have watched me, those that used to follow me on Facebook and Instagram know I was an owner-operator for a long period of time, and I did very well at that. I was a Department of Defense contractor, also had a large contract with a pharmaceutical organization, a worldwide pharmaceutical organization. So I've done very well in trucking. But in the course of running that business and doing what I do, I went through some changes in my relationship over the last several years. It's been, well, these changes started about 5, almost 6 years ago now. And I always get the dates messed up. But I've been very busy at work lately. I got away from the standard social media of Facebook and Instagram. There was just entirely too much negativity there. All of this, me getting on and speaking live or doing videos, was something I kicked off on Facebook years ago as I was going through that change in my life in terms of my relationship. And I found it very helpful in terms of therapy, working through these things. And as the years have passed, I've spoken to many people, shared my story with them, along with them sharing, being kind enough to share their story with me. So, although I've been busy for the last, I don't know, almost year now, doing this and getting acclimated to this life, or this aspect of the job that I do now, I wanted to be able to get back on here. And finally, we're starting to get a little bit of a break where things are being managed a little bit better on my end, where I have some free time that I can get into this stuff. In the spring, summer, and fall, I'm often very busy hiking, and I've made videos about that and why I do that as well and how I discovered that. So you can go back in the channel and look at that stuff here. But I do like doing these kinds of things here when I have the time to do it. I'm sitting inside my truck right now. It is 11:55 p.m. Down here in Wildwood, Florida. Sitting at the TA. For those of you who drive a truck, you know exactly where I'm parked. I'm across from the 75 Chrome Shop, which you guys have seen me parked at many, many times before, with the yellow Pete and the white Pete and the Western Star and the Kenworth. When we run an entire team. We have a string of trucks we will run and go do these tours and these concerts and everything else. It's pretty cut and dry. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's pretty cut and dry. But that's not the purpose of the video. That's just my background. Now, before we go into the whole concept of what to expect when you're breaking up with that narcissist in your life, and specifically for me, it was a person that I was in an intimate relationship with. You need to understand what a narcissist is. You also need to understand that when I do these videos, I am not a clinical professional. I am not a legal consultant in any way. If you feel that you need any kind of therapy, which I would suggest when you first realize what you've gone through, because a lot of people don't realize when they get into this relationship exactly what they've gotten themselves into. And it can be an absolute trap. It will destroy your life if you let it. My struggle has been for almost 6 years. And it's still something that I deal with every day. It's something that I've had to put a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of time into in order to be able to get my life back on track. So when you hear people say after a month or 2 months or 3 months, oh, I'm better, I put the work in, there is no damn way when it comes to this. I don't know what kind of therapy or what kind of work a person has done, but they can claim they've done any kind of work to improve their life in any vast sense. in a couple months. I just simply can't see that. I am a research junkie, grew up as a nerd, and really have focused on bettering myself and bettering my life and focusing on the good things in life and how to rebuild my life yet again after all of this. And like I said, it has taken nearly 6 years, and it's still something that I have to deal with every day. Once you have this kind of person in your life, understand you will likely deal with them for a very, very, very long time, even after you're no longer in a relationship with them. It doesn't just go away. They're not going to let it go away. So when I give you examples of things, understand it's not just the research I've done, and there's vast amounts. Understand, guys, when I'm on the road, especially when I was an owner-operator, you could have 11, 12, 13, 14 hours to just research as you're going down the road and listen to things and learn things. You're back in the sleeper, you can sit there and study things and read things. There's all kinds of information about everything that I've been through. So whether it was the narcissistic person that I had to deal with, the infidelity that comes along with it, the pathological lying that comes along with it, the victimhood that comes along with it, the blame shifting they do, the manipulation, the deception, all of it, okay? It's taken me years of very intense study and very intense research to try to figure out what happened. It's not an easy road. You will go through every single stage of the grieving process. You will go through points of depression in your life, anger in your life, potentially considering self-deletion. I've been through all of that. So before we go any further, what I need to explain to the new people who don't understand exactly what this is or trying to figure out what's going on in my relationship, okay, why is this person like this? You need to understand what a narcissist is. So what I'll give to you is the Narcissist 101 version of exactly what a narcissist is. Let's go through it here real quick. A narcissist, this condition, okay, and there are two different things we're talking about. What you're looking at is the clinical version of what they call NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, which is treated with drugs and therapy, and you can make improvements on that. Okay, or they're the people that have these evil narcissistic traits. That was kicked off by childhood trauma. Almost every time I've researched it, and it goes back, and it goes even back anecdotally to the person that I was involved with, the amount of childhood trauma is absolutely incredible. It is insane when you find out what these people have gone through early in their lives and how they've managed to drag this stuff out, because it's all shame-based. The whole thing is. And it's what creates this evil in these people. They don't operate like normal human beings like you or I would. They don't think like that. Okay? Well, what's it look like? First and foremost, they lack empathy of any kind. My narc used to sit there at the end of our relationship and say, "You have no empathy." That's projection. They want empathy from you. That's how they scout people out for who they're going to be in a relationship with. They look at it as a weakness. They're empathy. You're an empathetic person. You're the kind of person that cares. It's what they need. They're going to prey on that. What they need from you is what's commonly called narcissistic supply, or fuel. And the better person you are, and the more that you have to offer, and the more you're willing to tolerate, and the more you're willing to grow that relationship with that narcissist, understand there's tiers to it. In my particular case, it's what's called being Anyway, I lost my train of thought, guys. I apologize. When you are that prime source, and I'll do a video on this one later, understand they will always come back to you. They will always come back to you for that fuel, for that attention. Negative or positive, it makes no difference. In the end, once that relationship is done and you decided, I'm out of this, now it doesn't matter. Before it was they wanted positive attention from you. They wanted things to lift up their spirit. Okay, build them up from their insecurities. Keep them from feeling shame. But when it's all done and the relationship's over, it doesn't matter what it is. Any kind of attention will do, because they need to have that superior narcissistic supply. And it's intense. They have a limited amount of sympathy. The things that you see them sympathetic over are the things that like almost any human would be sympathetic over. Like looking at a starving child, you know, seeing an animal that, you know, has, that is suffering. Most narcissists can be sympathetic towards those simple things. But as far as sympathy towards their target, towards you, towards me, not gonna happen. Simply will not. The times you see sympathy from them, understand it's only because being sympathetic at that moment or playing that sympathetic role means that it's beneficial to them. That's all it's about. The reason they're being sympathetic towards you and them being a narcissist, because there's something beneficial on the back end of being sympathetic. It's not real. They have a flawed conscience. And what that means is they don't think like me or you, okay? Me or you would go through our normal daily routines and we know the difference between right and wrong. And because we have a set of principles we live by, okay, I'll speak for myself, because I have a set of principles that I live by, because I take pride in having integrity, because there are certain character traits that make me, and I stand by those things, my beliefs. Okay, whether they be spiritual or personal beliefs, okay? It's the foundation of who I am. I'm never going to cross that line. Now, have I done that? We certainly have. All of us have. That's what makes us flawed. But in the case of the narcissist, their conscience is so flawed, they know what they're doing. You will hear people say, well, they don't necessarily know what they're doing until you talk to a narcissist who is a self-discovered narcissist. When you hear a narcissist who talks about what they do as a narcissist, and there's a few of them out there. If you go onto YouTube, you can find them. They will tell you, we absolutely know what we're doing. So even for the so-called experts, even some of the best clinical experts say, well, they don't really know what they're doing. They don't have any control. They do. It's admitted by narcissists. Like, we know what we're doing. We know exactly what we're doing. We're so calculated because what we're looking for is what benefits us right now for the moment. A lot of narcissists don't think long term. So when they create these plans, these schemes, these scams that they pull, they don't think about long-term effects. They don't think about whether it's sustainable for any long-term period of time. I've seen it with my narc hundreds of times already in the last 6 years, making the most crazy choices, the worst decisions, and you look at them and you're like, this isn't sustainable, right? This isn't something you're going to be able to pull off long-term. And if you get caught, there's going to be problems. They don't care. It's only about what benefits them. It's always about them. When you have a conversation with a narcissist, you'll see. You can have a conversation about something going on in your life, and they will force that conversation back towards them. You're having an issue in your life? No. They'll listen to you. They may let you finish, probably not, and they're going to change the subject back to them and how something comparable or worse is going on in their life. And they want that sympathy from you. They want that empathy from you. Understand? It's like fuel to them. They love it. Okay? It makes them feel good about themselves. And there's a reason why they feel bad. They are filled with so much shame and so much rage and so much misery. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. They're extremely controlling. The whole basis behind that narcissism, behind those personality traits, is control. The reason why they have people that they pick or that they prey upon for that narcissistic fuel is specifically out of control. They will do things and say things that will even pump up your ego or make you feel wonderful. My narc used to tell me the most amazing things. When that relationship started, I was on cloud nine. I thought it was the most amazing thing. This person thinks this about me, and I'm this great, and like I'm like everything that person was looking for. It's all bullshit. It's a ploy and it's a trap. They're setting a trap for you to make you feel good, and you know, it's like, you know, throwing that bait out there on the line and bam, I got you. Believe you me, I've been through it, guys. It was a 13-year relationship, and you know, living as husband and wife like that, you know, and me being who I am, I believe in the vows of marriage. Till death do us part. Excuse me. Till death do us part. The problem is, when you get in with someone like this, they're going to push you and you're going to find out real fast that those vows and any vows they have made or any promises that they've made to you, they don't mean anything. They were there for a reason. They had a plan from the start, and that plan just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing, and you realize, I got played. The quicker you can get out of it, the less damage they're going to inflict in your life. But understand, once they're in, okay, they will always try to get some kind of hold on you. They will always get some kind of control. They will do things. They will message you or call you out of the blue, tell you the craziest things to try to get you back in, so you're involved in the piece of their life they want you to be involved in, all for more of that attention. Okay, more of what they need. It could be attention. It could be tangible assets, things that they want, an item they want, a material item they want, money. That's a common thing. The financial aspect behind dealing with a narcissist is insane. If they can, they'll break you. They'll steal from you. They're incredibly abusive people. And when I say abusive, that is physical, emotional, and financial. Okay? And don't get it twisted. They will turn around and they will turn it all on you, everything that they've done, and claim that you've done it to them. As I tell people all the time, 2 things when you're dealing with this. 1, get yourself some therapy. Okay, you have to understand what it's going to take to get through this, and everything you're going to go through. Watching videos isn't going to do it for you. You have to have some kind of a basis or a foundation to work off of. As you hear a lot of people say, "Oh man, f that," you know, therapy. It's for you know, you're weak if you no. You are not. You don't have the tools to work through the amount of damage somebody like this can do in your life. Now people say, "Oh well, you know, I just walk away from it." If you've never been there, you'll never get it. It's extremely hard to explain to somebody who has never realized they've dealt with a narcissist, to explain to them what it's like to be in it. It is probably the most abusive kind of relationship you can be in. Now, my own mother was in a physically abusive relationship with my father. My father used to abuse her on a regular basis prior to them finally getting divorced after we were growing up. And I remember all that as a kid. This is different. That physical abuse is only a small aspect. And I've had to experience all of this on insane, intense levels. Yes, the physical abuse. I've had to stand there with the prosecutor who sat there and said, "You don't understand, sir. You are a victim of domestic violence. That person would have just as likely wanted to kill you as just hurt you." Yes, it gets that intense. And this is coming from a guy who was with a female. Yes, it can absolutely be like that. The level of emotional abuse, they will grind you down and grind you down and grind you down and grind you down with the intention of breaking you so they can get you back in their grips. The financial abuse, they will go so far as to steal from you. If they have access to your bank accounts, they will drain your bank accounts. How do I know this? I've been through it. Projection. Projection is their weapon of choice. Okay? And they don't understand, even though if you warn them, they will never grasp the concept that every time they project stuff, all they're doing is admitting to you exactly what they're doing. "Oh, you did this, this, and this to me." That's not what happened at all. It's that gaslighting, guys. They do it all the time. You hear people use that term all the time. But what's gaslighting? Gaslighting is what's commonly called crazy-making behavior. The idea behind gaslighting is your narcissist will tell you that what happened didn't happen, or it didn't happen the way that you experienced it. The idea is to turn the tide on you and make you believe that either something did not happen that you experienced, or it wasn't as intense, or it wasn't as bad. It's just not that bad. You're making into something else. As I heard my narcissist's own parent tell her, you're misremembering. And I said, holy crap, this stuff goes back generations. Yeah, have you ever heard that term? No, why? Because it's not a real word, but it's a word that a narcissist will make up. You're misremembering. Crazy, right? But they will do that kind of thing, and they will project their bad behavior back on you and blame you for what they did. They will tell you that you did exactly what they did. They will come at you as my narcissists come to me and say, yeah, I know you're out there sleeping around and doing this and that. And what is it every time that I find out? That person is sleeping around. They tell on themselves, guys, all the time. They just can't help it. They got to run their mouth. They got to say things. Projection is out there. Like I said, it's the weapon of choice. It's how they keep themselves from being accountable. It gets to the point where things, pathological liar. You will find out, as I did after, being with that person for well over a decade and a decade and a half almost. You will find out that everything that they've told you is an outright lie. And more often than not, there are lies of omission. What's a lie of omission, Bernie? Glad you asked. I'll tell you. A lie of omission is they will keep things from you. And then when you find out, they say, well, I never told you because you didn't ask. And they're the craziest things that would absolutely disqualify them to be a partner with. They hide things purposely. And then you find things out. They're involved in things while you're in a relationship with them. And they don't bother to tell you. They don't indicate anything. And then when you find out, well, you didn't ask. Why should I ask after, being involved with you for almost 10 years? Why should I ask if you're having an affair? Why should I ask, hey, why are you washing another man's clothes in my house? Why are you carrying on with a neighbor where all of a sudden the neighbor's wife's coming over threatening violence against you? Why should I have to ask about that? I should be able to assume, if I'm in a good, healthy relationship, that I would never have to worry about that. Like I said, guys, infidelity is a huge thing. It's almost a guarantee with every narcissist. Covert narcissists are the ones who just hide under the radar. What narcissists will do, what my narcissist in particular did, is they will create a character based on what they realize by getting to know you. They're very good listeners at first. And then once they get into it and they're caught, they stop listening. But when they're developing that relationship and they're preying upon you, they listen to your wants, your needs, your desires, and they will create a character perfect for you. Sounds like crazy stuff, right? Like magic, right? But it happens. It happened in my own life, and people that I know who've done the same thing, the stories are almost identical. I used to think that my story, my whole breakup story, was like the worst thing ever. I watched that person blow up our family, blow up everything, and then I realized, wait a minute, they've done this several times already. And then when I went back and I started looking at the things that I was finding out, wait a minute, they've done this stuff already. Or I would find out that they've done this stuff already. You start to realize you're part of a club. Okay, when you're on the receiving end of that narcissist, you realize there is an absolute there is a path of victims from their history. And if you're like me, and I was fortunate and blessed enough to be able to then link up with these people and start talking, comparing stories, they're like, oh yeah, this is what happened. Sounds just like what you went through. Except you, my friend, were much more patient, much more tolerant, and you put up with more crap. Therefore, you were in it for a longer period of time. I got the hell out after this amount of time. Good luck. It gets to the point where they will become criminal. Yes, they will be involved in criminal activity. And this is where you will hear, because of the lack of accountability these people have, they can perform a criminal act and they will say, You set me up. The police set me up. A prosecutor set me up. The judge set me up. The court system set me up. The state set me up. The county set me up. It's always a setup. And then you go back and you start thinking in your head about the things you went through with that person, and how many times did you hear that? Oh, well, my mom set me up. My dad set me up. This person set me up. Everything's a setup. And what you really realize after you find out the true story, it wasn't a setup. It's their inability to have any accountability in their life. Blame anybody. Blame the nearest person, if you can, for the things that you chose to do. They're only interested in what directly benefits them. Even to the point, if given the choice of what benefits them or what benefits even their children. Them every time. Every time. They will do things to the detriment of their own offspring. So this way they can have benefits that go back to them. Like I said, plans, schemes, scams, crime, all of it. They will hurt people. They will decimate people's lives. They will try to destroy people if necessary. And as I've been told by people that are close to me and other people that have gone through this, it is absolute evil. You have to understand, although, you know, it is a mental disorder. It's a mental disorder with no cure. There is not a single person who is a narcissist that I've found over the course of 6 years of study now that has been cured of this. Drugs don't do anything for this. It's who they are. It's their part of their personality. It's just how, like how I am a clean freak, and how I am very detailed, and how I am very disciplined in what I do, and how I like to plan and make lists and all that stuff. Those are personality traits that I have. It's part of who I am. But imagine a certain amount of evil that's within you, and that's the large bulk of that. And you've learned to manipulate people and deceive people and lie to people because of things that have happened in your past. And now you've gotten to a point now where you want no accountability for it, but it's all you know. You cannot fix them. I've tried. I've been very patient. I've tried to make sure that I could do things that would somehow resolve the situations, and it cannot be done. There's no documented evidence anywhere. When you look at the clinical experts and you listen to them, they will tell you, you cannot fix this. My own therapist told me years ago, you will die trying to fix this. And they were right. They're absolutely right. These people, these narcissists, they are, without a doubt, they are the most angry, miserable, insufferable people you will meet. Deep down inside, behind the fake smiles, behind the fake fun, behind all the acts, behind the character they've created just for you. And understand, that character for you will not be the same for other people, which is the reason why. If you go to a family function and they know this person to be one way, but you're another way, but they're another way for you, they will sit that they don't want you to be around them when they're around somebody else, because you have the ability to expose them. And that is the number one thing that a narcissist fears, is being exposed. How do I know? I've been there. I've been talking about this, guys, now publicly for almost 4 years. Okay? And some of the backlash I've had to take has been because of the fact that I speak on it publicly. And I went quiet for a little while because I was busy with my job. I was busy transitioning and things in my life. Understand, when you're in a relationship like that, and you end up doing what we're about to go into and talk about breaking up with the narcissist and leaving, they're going to turn your life upside down. They're going to do everything they can to absolutely destroy you. You betrayed them, even though they were the ones that betrayed you. They will do everything they can to absolutely destroy your life. I've seen it. I've been there. I've had to go through it, guys. It is the worst thing that you will ever have to go through, far beyond even, like, as I've told people, far beyond even the death of my father. Okay? So, let's get into it. So you want to break up with the narcissist. You're going to leave them. You finally made the choice. You've gotten the nerve. You've gotten the idea, like, look, I can't fix this. This is, like, you've got me painted into a corner, and now I have to make a choice. Either I'm going to lose all self-respect for myself, and I'm going to give everything up for you, or I'm going to get my life back. What you'll realize, first and foremost, is that that person will never change. There is no cure to it, guys. They will never change. The only way you'll ever see them change is when they meet another person, and they will create another character for that person. And if you ever cross paths with them again, they will revert right back to it like nothing. Like nothing ever happened. They will revert right back into the character they were for you. I've seen it with my own two eyes. Be one person with one group of people, and they come across me, and all of a sudden they're dressed in the same way, trying to act the same way, trying to look the same way that they were in my past. And it doesn't fucking work. And you need to realize, here it comes, the discard of the narcissist. Most often in a relationship with a narcissist, they will discard their supply, you. Every once in a while, if you're fortunate, you will discard them. And that leads to the next big thing. And you're going to hear all these terms, you're going to need to study these terms and realize what all this stuff means. I'll try to go over it with you. You discard the narcissist, what comes next? It is the most massive narcissistic wound or narcissistic injury, as they call it, that they will ever experience. It breaks down everything in them. It brings out every insecurity, every bit of anger, rage, depression, sadness, everything comes out at once. It's an absolute breakdown of that narcissist, being rejected like that. As I've told people, oftentimes what I've had to do when in the conversation with my narcissist was to tell them at the end of the conversation, when I'm done speaking and it's time to go, this ends now, this conversation is over, you're dismissed. You have to be that straightforward with them. Make them understand. It's over. The conversation's over. Thank you. Have a good day. You don't hang out there. The longer you hang out in those conversations, the more damage they will attempt to do to you. It could be guys, I have received the nicest, most complimentary messages, and what starts off as the sweetest call, and it will turn into World War III. That's all they were trying to do to begin with anyway. Get a little attention from you and break you down and weaken you. From that narcissistic injury, okay, you've now said, you know what, like in my particular case, anecdotally, like I said, I'll speak to you guys about things in my own life like I've always done on all my videos. You say, all right, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You know, I may love you, but this isn't worth it to me. I got to worry about myself. I got to worry about my own self-respect. I can't do this anymore. It's just not worth it. I don't see the benefit for me at all in being in this relationship. They have the narcissistic injury, the narcissistic wound, and what comes next? Narcissistic rage. And it is an anger like you will have never seen before if you've never been with a narcissist. The level of anger that these people have inside of them, it's a lifetime. It is a lifetime, because when did it start? It started with the unresolved issues when they were children. And I mentioned that to you guys before. What happened to these people? What happened to these people? It was abuse, neglect, sexual abuse as children, just deviant things being done to them. My narcissist has had it all. Had very neglectful parents, and a particular parent who put them in situations where they had to experience things that a child should never have to experience. And then had another parent who then introduced them to even more deviant things as they were growing up as a teenager and a young lady. What do you think is going to happen to someone like that? Your brain's still developing. When you should be going through all of the fun things a child should go through, you shouldn't be dealing with crazy stuff like having to deal with a drunken parent who is bringing strangers in the house, who's doing things to them and then doing things to you. You know, you shouldn't be doing things like having to drive around in a car with a drunken parent somewhere, you know, and having them lose control and you flying across the car as a child, putting you in positions where you're being left with strangers or being left with strange men, okay? This is the kind of thing that develops that narcissist. There's so much shame in them as they get older and they start to realize what happened, and these issues never got resolved. They were never properly introduced to any kind of clinical therapy because the parents were just too neglectful. And that person then grows up to be a neglectful person and knows, or may know at least, to the best of my knowledge, you would think they would know, like, hey, something's wrong. They do know. Like I said, they know everything that's going on. My narcissist came to me many, countless times and told me of the horrible things they've had to go through in life. And the question then comes back, well, why didn't you get help? Look at you now. And you're going to see, as we go through this here, the progression of what happens to the narcissist and the reality check that starts to come in and hit them when you leave them. When you're that grade A supply, that was the term I was looking for. When you're that grade A supply, that top tier supply, the best fuel they've had in their life, you can provide for them in a manner that nobody else ever has or can ever replace. They will always come back to you because you are the person who is going to turn around and make them feel better and less shameful and less insecure and less messed up. But right now, you decide to break up with them, and they're raging on you. I have been called the a-hole so many times since I did this and said, look, I'm done. But at the same time, I was an a-hole, and this is how I was an a-hole. I took them back several times. I believed the lies, even after I started doing the research and I thought I had this stuff down. And you're like, look, I know who you are and what you are. I've said that so many times. I know who you are and what you are. And then there's this one. I didn't do this. I don't give advice to people because my biggest fear is I'm not equipped to give you advice. I don't have the tools to give you advice. I'm not a clinical professional. But I will tell you this. In your life, when you realize you've been with a narcissist and you've made peace with what what you're responsible for, you made a poor choice in picking a bad person to put in your life. You made a poor choice in covering for them. You made a poor choice in helping them hide the skeletons in their closet. Okay? You made a poor choice in having children with them. You made a poor choice in ever allowing them to be protecting their bullshit. Okay? You've gotten through all that. You've accepted that. Yes, that's what you did wrong in all of this. They'll still try to put their crap off on you. And you'll still be that grade A supply because you did all that. And God forbid you do something like you make money and you offer a good lifestyle and it's a very comfortable, secure, safe, stable life. A lifestyle they've never experienced before. I've done all this, guys. Like I said, I speak from an anecdotal point of view. This is what's happened in my life already. The next thing that they go to after they rage on you and they call you names and everything else, and this is your fault, and you've done this, and you've done that, and you've done this, and then they attack your character, and they do things like they try to now play the victim. Why? Why play the victim? Are they really the victim? Like, they may have been a victim early on in life as children, or even as a teenager, or even possibly a young adult. More likely not a young adult or even a teenager, because at that point they're making choices now, and they're getting involved in crazy stuff. Why are they the victim? The same reason they were a victim back then. Because they make poor choices, they don't like the consequences or the results of those choices, and they don't want to accept accountability. So what are they going to do? They're going to take you down. They're going to knock you down a peg, and they're going to prove to the world it was his fault. It was her fault. It was anybody who was a narcissistic supply who decided to now disregard them. It's their fault. How deep does it get? Well, guys, I've been in criminal court 2 different times where that person tried to file protection orders against me. They were both thrown out. We were able to prove, unequivocally, it was all lies. Yes, you will have to go through that. I was fearful that I was going to lose my contract with the Department of Defense. I was afraid I was going to lose my contract with the pharmaceutical company. I thought for sure she was going to ruin my company, and she didn't care. She was down for that. I'll show you. I'll show you for turning around and exposing me. I'll show you for turning around and turning your back on me. I'll show you for leaving me. Oh, the level of vengeance and vindictiveness is something like you've never seen before. So, when you go to break up with a narcissist, be prepared for all of this. All of it. And more, because there's still more to come. It's like the late night infomercial, but wait, there's more. They lack accountability, okay? So again, victimhood is their easy out. You'll hear them all the time. They always have a victimhood story. Like I used to tell my narc, if it were all true, you'd be the biggest victim on the earth in the history of the earth. Stories upon stories upon stories that you find out these things didn't happen. These grapes and these essays, and I have to say all that because it's on YouTube, okay? You'll understand what it is. All of these horrible things that supposedly happened to them, you realize they were voluntarily involved in all of this stuff and walked away with regret because they were then later rejected. Now that the person is out of their life and at a distance, they can talk all that crap. Oh yeah, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, and this happened to me. And the stories just start piling up like, wait a minute, stop. Because at some point you would have turned around and you would have put a stop to this. You would have been fearful towards the people from that gender that supposedly did these things to you. And you would have gone to the police. So show me one police report. And you do stuff like that, they're like, oh, I'll show you a police report. I'm going to file on you. It's happened, guys. It's happened to me. I told you. She drugged me right through court, claimed all kinds of abuse and all kinds of crazy stuff, and offered to pay somebody from my past to say that, oh, I'll pay you money, I'll fly you here, I'll pay you money and put you up so you can go to court and tell the judge that he had turned around and abused you in the past. And that person from my past was like, you are crazy. And that person promptly called me after not talking to that person for years. And I'm like, you're serious? Like, oh yeah, here's the proof. Ta-da. Yes, absolutely vindictive and vengeful, and they're there to take you down. Again, they're still stuck in that narcissistic rage, but now they've added victimhood to this thing. You got to remember, guys, when you decide to discard the narcissist and break away from them, it is going to be the most dangerous time in your life. Unequivocally the most dangerous time in your personal life. Not like walking through the hood unarmed with a big sign that says, hey, come rob me. Not like that. Like, no, they will destroy your life. They will destroy your personal life, your professional life, your financial stability, everything. If you are not careful, you will lose everything with these people. Why? Because you shared a life with them. And if I can't have it, you can't have it either. As a matter of fact, if you came into this better than me, I will make sure that when this is all done, you are worse off than me. So you have to stand your ground on this. And you have to make sure that you understand exactly how this all works, and you understand exactly how this mental disability works. It's not a disease that can be cured, guys. This is a massive flaw in a human that cannot be fixed. There's nothing that you're going to do to fix these people. If you choose to be in that relationship, by all means, good luck. Have fun, because the fun times will be incredibly fun times. I can admit that. There'll be very adventurous people with you, but if you cross them, or if something goes wrong, or you try to hold them accountable for a damn thing, things are gonna start falling apart real fast. And they will replace your ass, for sure. Like I said, infidelity, one of the most common things amongst narcissists, okay? Lies, deception, manipulation, infidelity, projection, all day long. It's normal function for them. It's not normal function for the average human, but it is normal function for them. So understand, like I've said in the past when I've talked to people, these are the most evil people you're going to meet. If you cross them, they will do everything they can to destroy you. All this goes down, right? And let's say whether you break away, you're in the process of breaking away, you're slowly splitting off from them, it doesn't matter. Because I've gone through all of it with the same person, right? At different levels. Even now. Totally done, right? For a long time now. They're attention seekers. They know that you are the grade A supply. Undeniably, unequivocally, there's no question about it. They can go through a bunch of people and they're not going to find someone who is like you. They will sit there and talk to those people about you, and those people will get sick of that shit and they will leave. Or they will see that person because that person has a certain adventurous side to them, and they will use them for that and then leave. So that way, then that person can come up with more stories about this person hurt them and that person hurt them and this. You just have a history of bad choices. Okay, that's all that is. Who are we kidding? They're attention seekers. Okay, and they're going to reach out to you. And sometimes they'll reach out to you out of anger. Sometimes they'll reach you out of sadness, looking for attention, like, oh, my life is falling apart. And sometimes they will try to reel you in with the craziest things. Guys, just as recently as a week and a half ago, my narcissist was sending me topless pictures. Out of the blue. Totally unprovoked. I was sitting in Fort Worth, Texas, doing a show. Ding, ding. I don't check those text messages right away, but they come across on my home screen, and I'm like, well, what is this? And all I can see is a little tiny square on my iPhone. I'm like, I can't see what that is. I'm busy. I'm taking care of the show, hanging out with the rest of the crew. I go check it later that night. I'm like, are you kidding me? What is this all about? You just MF'd me up and down just the other day. I am the bane of your existence, and I'm this horrible person, and you're turning around and sending me topless pictures? What is this? So, of course, text, what is this? They go on to tell you. They try to entice you. They try to pull you in. Don't go for it. Don't go for it. What they're doing is they're trying to play that character for you again, because they know who you are. They know what you like. They know what you're all about. They know. The longer they've been with you, they can read you like a book. Let them read. Just know that as long as you stay there, as long as you won't let them pull you back in, it is dangerous. I have been pulled back in several times. I've been pulled back in believing that we were going to make the relationship work and everything would be okay, before I really got into the research and said, I can't fix this. The person that I fell in love with, I've made peace with the fact the person I fell in love with was a character. It wasn't real. The experiences were real. That character, that particular character, absolutely in love with. Love her to death. And as I've told my narcissist, if you ever see her standing on a corner somewhere, just give me a call. I'll drop everything. I'll go get her. Absolutely in love with that person. But it's fictitious. It's not real, guys. And as my therapist told me, at this point here, the easiest way to look at it is that person is dead. This way you can just put yourself through the grieving process. Because here's the thing. You will never get closure with a narcissist, ever. Closure means they have to take accountability for something. They have to be able to apologize for the things they've done. They have to be able to explain to you why things happened the way they did. They won't do it. You have to make closure with yourself and understand and accept you made bad choices. You are at fault too. Yes, absolutely. You may be the victim of the narcissist, but you are absolutely at fault. And here's where you're at fault. You chose that person. You trusted that person. When that person showed you the red flags, when the mask started to slip off, you still accepted them in your life. You kept them around. You stayed too long. You made all the choices to hide the things that you didn't want other people to know. You propped those people up. You helped make them look much better than they even were. Much better than they've ever been in their freaking life. I'm guilty of all of it. I did all of it, guys. It's just because you're a good person. Because you fell in love with something that you thought was real, and it's not. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm a 52-year-old grown man. And Yeah, I'm not embarrassed about that. All it did, all this time later, what I was able to figure out was like, look, you're a good guy. You are absolutely a good man. That same person has told me. My ex-wife, my first ex-wife told me. My friends have told me. My family, you're an incredibly good guy. And you're not a nice guy. You're not a pushover. Not by any means, but you're a good man. And what you want to do is be able to provide for a good woman. I didn't pick one. I picked a bad person to put in my life, and this is the result of it, just like you did. And the sooner you come to grips with that, the reality of what you got yourself into, the quicker you can allow yourself to get some closure. You can then start finding more peace in your life. And if you don't understand how that all works out, you can go back to looking at the hiking video that I did. I talk about hiking for therapy and why I do what I do. My life now is about me and being able to provide for my children. Okay, I've got little children, I've got a grown child, okay, and they're all provided for really well on my behalf. Now, what on my two younger kids, what their mom doesn't provide for them, that's not my responsibility. I'm not going to pick up the pieces and by proxy watch her live a better life because she just simply won't provide. And that means the same way in any relationship: time, energy, attention, resources. You don't want to give that to your kids, then that's on you. And understand that, guys, when you co-parent with this kind of a person, it's extremely difficult. They're going to try to make it even more difficult for you. But that's for another video. We're talking about breaking up with them. Okay? So now you know the basics of the narcissist. You know what it's going to look like when you break up with them. What eventually happens? Well, I can tell you from the research that I've done and from my own experience in life and from my relationship, from an anecdotal point of view, eventually what happens is they keep putting this attention-seeking behavior out, whether they're with other people, whether they're claiming they're moving on with their life. Guys, the one thing is they don't stop thinking about that grade A supply. They don't. I mean, it's been proven over and over and over. The narcissists who are self-aware have said, like when you have grade A supply, that's your food. That's what you live and breathe for. You may have other things you bring into your life to try to draw your attention away from that, to try to go have fun, to try to fulfill yourself for half a moment, to get that attention and validation that you know is easy because you use your body to do it, or you use your sexual capabilities to do that, or because whatever the reason is. But in the end, it really does all fall back down to the grade A supply, and that's where the real problem comes in. So for someone like me, I've made myself understand and accept the fact that that person could potentially always be around the corner, waiting to get more attention, waiting to get more of that supply, waiting to get more fuel. They just don't stop. But you don't have to put up with it because it looks like this. They have the attention-seeking behavior. They're rejected by the victim of the narcissist. The narcissist rages, and the cycle just keeps repeating. They reach out, you reject them, they get pissed, they stop talking. They reach out, you reject them, they get pissed, they stop talking. Reach out, reject them, get pissed, stop talking. That's how this has gone for years for me now, guys. There are times I don't hear from her for a month, and out of the blue, like, haven't said anything, done nothing. Life has moved on, guys. My life has moved on. Whole different job. I mean, I changed everything. I gave up my company because I realized, okay, I didn't want anything that was attached to the life I had prior to all of this. Okay, there was no purpose in doing it anymore. Why bust my butt and be out there 120 hours a week killing myself to try to chase riches and a fortune and all this? Great, I made all that. Okay, I don't need it anymore. I don't have to keep doing that anymore. Okay, I live a very simple, although exciting life. It's all on my terms now because I don't have to answer to that person anymore. She hates it. She fucking hates it. I mean, there's times that she'll be like, oh my God, that's great, and this and that. Fine, whatever. Like it, don't like it, none of it's done for you. It's for me now. Okay, so the things I do, the job that I do is the job that I chose to. and it twists my arm a little bit, but it's a job I chose to do. And people say, well, you know, you don't make anywhere near the money you used to. I don't have to. I simply don't have to. My life has gotten much easier. When you break away from someone like that, guys, your finances become, you become financially free. You always hear people saying, oh man, like guys will be like, oh man, I'm not going to divorce because I'll lose half of this and that. I didn't. I pay child support. That's it. Child support. And it's not so incredibly crushing that I can't afford it. The rest of my life is mine. You know, I spend time with my children. I provide for my children. I'm out here at work. I enjoy my life. Can you get that? Yeah, you can absolutely get that for sure. Okay? So you end up going through that cycle. Where does that cycle end? I can't tell you that because it's obviously not finished for me. It just happened tonight. Turn around and text me this afternoon. I'm not answering your text. I'm not giving you the attention. What happens? I'm going to get my shower. Oh, clearly you're too busy or you don't care and this and that. I understand. What you're saying is I needed attention because I was out of supply for the day. This guy, that guy, this person, they're all busy on a Thursday night. I needed it from you. You won't give it to me, so let me guilt trip you. Doesn't work. The answer is absolutely. I'm always too busy for that bullshit. And it's something you have to learn to make peace with. Okay? Regardless of how hard, how badly you want to go back to that person, I would never suggest that. Not recommended. Okay? Relationship with a narcissist, not recommended. You know what they say? How they say if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Believe you me, they will send up the flags immediately when you meet them. If it's too good to be true, you're probably dealing with this demonic shit here. If you don't mind your life being torn apart, you don't mind being thrown back years at a time, trying to get through all the damage that you have to go through and trying to heal yourself and trying to figure out what happened and trying to fix the issues in your life and stuff. And on top of that, wasting all the time in that relationship where you could have just had a good, healthy relationship with somebody else, by all means, jump in. But I wouldn't recommend it. You go through that cycle, you go through that cycle, you go through that cycle, you go through that cycle. It's been years now, right, guys? Eventually, they run the same scams, the same schemes, the same plans, the plots, all this shit. And as I've told people in the past, close to me and even strangers, I don't know, people often say, well, they're going to get their karma. Whether it's karma, whether it's God, whether it's through earth level setting things, they eventually lose everything. All the research I've done, in the end, these are the people that literally just die alone. Well, why is that? Because for a lot of the guys, they get older, they lose their money, so they lose their wealth, they lose their looks, they lose that virility. They may still have that charisma, but they're old men, okay? What gets a narcissist every time? What got my narcissist? Age. I'm 52, guys. I don't think I look 52. I'm pretty healthy for my age. I've been told I can plan to live until about 85, which is amazing to me because I would have never thought. And I feel blessed and grateful for it every day. But when you have a person, in my particular case, my narcissist, I created this real high maintenance thing. Okay, so it was the gym, it was all the health treatments and everything else to keep that person young and with all that vitality. They didn't look their age at all originally. Oh, fast forward these last couple of years, and then you start to realize age got you. What pissed that person off is when I turned around and told them in a conversation several months ago, like, hey, you hit the wall. It's a real thing. It's absolutely a real thing. Not just for women, for everybody. If you don't take care of yourself, yes, you hit the wall when it comes to your ability to take part in the dating world, or even just finding like your sexual desirability is going to change based on your ability to remain attractive. And naturally, as you get older, you become less you become less attractive to more people. Meaning less people are attracted to you. So if your main thing all your life has been using sex is the thing that you lead with, understand, that's going to drop off super fast. They lose everything. They will lose all their material items. They will lose their housing. They will lose their money. They will lose everything. Falls apart. It's not sustainable. When you go back to the beginning of what I said, okay, these are people that make choices that are incredibly unstable. So whether it's the choices themselves or these people, they're unstable. You cannot sustain this. My narcissist, as far as I've been able to tell, has one of the greatest track records. As that person's own parent told me, she's a great actress. She's a horrible liar. Verbatim. I just have this thing, I remember certain things, like things that are impactful in my life, I'll remember them to the T. Even though the narcissist will sit there and try to convince you, oh, you've got a memory problem, oh, you forget things. I've gone through all of this, guys. She's a great actress. She's a horrible liar. It all falls apart. You eventually lose everything. Everything that you had that gave you leverage to do the things that you do is gone. So what happens after that? A thing called a narcissistic collapse. What's a narcissistic collapse? Well, again, I'm glad you asked. The narcissistic collapse is when that person realizes everything they had in terms of control and the ability to control people is now gone. They might have it maybe with their kids, inconsequential things to them. But the real supply, it's gone and they're never getting it. And no matter what they do to chase it down to try to find someone else to replace it, they can't get it. It's like getting that 100% pure cocaine and you've had it. You love it. And all of a sudden you got 80% pure coming in. You got 60%. You got 20%. Like, damn it, I just want the 100%. And you can't get it. You're never gonna get it. You don't have the ability to get it anymore. What it took for you to get it before is gone. What happens during the narcissistic collapse? Depression, first thing. I've seen it, my own two eyes. Laying in a dark room all day long. Get up just in time to get the kids off to the bus to go to school, or sometimes never even get up and the kids don't go to school. They will then turn around and they will neglect all of their obligations and responsibilities, which means what? You're just going to lose more. The loss is intense and it's long term. Every bad choice, every poor decision, every little illegal thing they were involved in, all their schemes, all their plans, all the plotting they did starts falling apart, and now it's time for the payback. There's a price to be paid for all of it. And they just cower into a corner where it looks like, I'm sure you guys have seen those stories before, where you see the person just like in a fetal position in a dark corner of the room. That's what it looks like. And every once in a while they'll bounce back and they come out for a little bit and they realize, fuck, it's all done. In the worst case scenario in a narcissistic collapse, self-deletion. But most of the times what it is, you end up living like the lonely life, like you live in the old house, with the lawn that's overgrown. You become a hermit. And all the stories of all the grandiosity and the crazy stuff, the amazing things you've done with your life, they go by the wayside because everybody knows you. And they know what you are. They know who you are and what you are. And you've wasted your entire life as a narcissist. Initially, it's not their fault. They didn't put themselves, they never asked to be put in a strange position that gave them childhood trauma or trauma early in their lives. Okay? But the fact of the matter is, again, you have to keep remembering, they know what they're doing. They know something's wrong with them. It's the reason why they're so insecure. It's the reason why they try to project that insecurity on you. Know how many times that person tried to tell me, well, your problem is you're just insecure. I have no reason to be insecure. I'm perfectly confident. The only time I ever found any insecurity is when when the realization came to me that I had changed so much for a person just to attempt to keep them happy, which then I realized I'm not responsible for that person's happiness. You can't make a miserable person happy. They're miserable all their lives. Everything is just an act. Like I said, great actress, horrible liar. And that's what you come down to. And that's the reason why, in the end, people choose, in the very rare occasion, to leave a narcissist. And this is what you're going to deal with. Many times it'll be hell on earth. It'll be super stressful. You'll have so much anxiety. There was a time for about a year that I suffered from such intense anxiety. I would crawl in the sleeper in my yellow Peterbilt or my white one and just curl up in a corner and just sit there and shake because I couldn't stop the things. Do not let that person break you. It's no longer part of your life. It's a horrible choice you made. It's something that you did. You didn't think through it real well because you fell in love with that person and you decided you wanted to spend your life with them or spend time with them, never knowing that the entire time it was a predator-prey situation and you were the prey. It can happen to the best of people. As a matter of fact, it happens to the best people because those people are the ones who offer the best supply. You are, in fact, the high-octane drag racing fuel for that person's life, as opposed to this shitty 88 octane out here that anybody can get. If you are that empath, if you are that good person, understand you are a target for a narcissist. That's what they want. You don't have to be a beta. You don't have to be some kind of a cuck as a man. I mean, I've always been as strong. I hate to use the term because I think it's horrible. You don't have to be that you know. You can be that alpha man. You can be that stoic man. You know, you can be that traditionally classic man and still get taken advantage of like this because you have this, because you have that big heart. And don't take it, you know, in any kind of seriousness when that person turns around and tells you, oh, you're an asshole and everything else. Brush it off by the wayside. Don't forget who it is that's talking to you. Who's really the asshole in that conversation? Who screwed it all up? Who took advantage of a good person? You know, who was willing to turn around and destroy an entire family and everything that you've worked for them, everything you sacrificed for them? Guys, I haven't always been confident enough to have these kind of conversations and put this stuff out there. A lot of times it really, really hurt me to sit there and think about this stuff. And you have to understand when you pull away and you say, look, I have to make myself the priority now because that person doesn't see me as a priority. That person sees me as someone they can take advantage of. You have to have your self-respect and you have to rely on self-preservation and be able to leave them. But you also have to understand the battle of getting out of it is going to be the biggest battle you're going to face. It's going to come with the most amount of pain. But you can make it out to the other side. And it's very, very hard. You're going to go across a lot of difficult times. And like I said, two things you're going to need to do is you need to make sure that you speak to a clinical therapist. And the other thing you need to do is get a really good attorney. People say, well, why would you need that? Trust me, you're going to need it. Everything I mentioned, how much of that stuff you think brings up legal issues? You're going to need a really good attorney. I'm grateful for both, for having both. I'm grateful for the good friends that I have and the new friends that I've managed to cultivate, you know, over the last year, working with the organization I work with now. The experiences I've been able to have, I've been able to experience things that people never get to see. I got introduced to people that you see on TV and see in magazines and see online and stuff. I've sat down and enjoyed a meal with these people and had conversations with these people. Absolutely incredible times. We're all just human, though. We are. We're all just human beings, and we're all flawed, and we all make poor decisions. And when it comes to this, if you feel the best decision for you is your self-respect and your self-preservation, and you're going to get out, just understand the amount of absolute crap you're going to go through. And for me, like I said, I'm not going to lie and sit there and be like, and there's a great ending to this. I don't know. I'm not there yet. That person just reached out to me again today. Tried to entice me in conversation, and when I refused to have a conversation with that person and would not acknowledge it, went the other direction. And that's how it's always going to be now. Like I said, you'll deal with that cycle. Attention-seeking behavior, rejection, and then you turn around and you have that narcissistic rage. Once you get your bearings, you get your feet back under you, you start rebuilding your life, knowing that, hey, it's the next book in the library that is my life, okay? You gotta start writing that book. You gotta start going back and saying, who am I? Who did that person fall in love with? Historically, the people that I've been in relationships with, who is the person they fell in love with? Well, that's who I am. So now I got to unwind all these changes I made for this silly ass narcissist over here, and it's time for me to get back to exactly who I am. Start to love myself a little bit more. Give myself a little bit of grace. Like, hey man, you just made a bad choice, but you did the best, the absolute best you could with that. It didn't work out, so what? You lost this, that, and whatever, so what? Okay? But now your kids, they're split between homes, it's fine. You'll get through all of that. All that stuff, guys, I'm telling you, that's the easy stuff. It's this thing here of getting out of this relationship and learning to get your life back, because they're always going to want to come back in. They're always going to have some kind of control. And they're going to do it by any means necessary. Any means necessary. Like I said, every single bullet point that I've talked to you folks about, and it's an entire page of it, okay? I've gone through all of this. So when I speak about it, it's not just comparing it to the research that I've had, it's me comparing my life to the research that I've done and saying, yep, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. All documented evidence. Not me speaking on opinion, not me making up some BS, that I can't back up. No, I've got all the receipts, guys. I've been through all of this stuff. All I can do is wish you well on your journey and understand that this is a very, very difficult thing to go through. And knowing that it's going to be a difficult thing to go through, in the end, is it worth it? I miss the person that I was in love with, but have made peace with the fact that person doesn't exist. Okay? The times I had with the person I thought that the person that I was in love with, absolutely amazing. I'm not giving them up for any reason or any person. You can still keep those. I was talking to somebody today about how many photographs and videos I have on my phone, and they kind of question as to why do I keep that stuff. Well, yes, that stuff needs to be moved because it's a different book in my life, okay? But I don't feel badly about that stuff. I shouldn't have to give that stuff up. It's all the other horrible things that have happened that I have to let go and say, look, you are a good man. You did do the right thing. You stood by that person when nobody else would. You put in more time than any person ever considered putting in, including their parents. It's okay. You have to learn to give yourself a little bit of grace. I've managed to get through this thing with the help of a lot of friends, a lot of understanding people in my life, people that I've become very close to, people that are very special to me, a few family members, and in my faith in God. You have to give yourself that grace. It's incredibly hard, and every once in a while people will reach out to you, and they'll just, out of the blue, my kid did it tonight, they'll just let you know, like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, Dad, you're a really great man, and I admire you, and you're my hero. And I'm not going to go over the exact details, but that's kind of how it went, and it makes you feel good. It's like, I am doing the right thing, and I am getting back on track, and things will be okay. I was very fortunate compared to a lot of people that I've talked to that have gotten out of a relationship with a narcissist. It got really, and mine, guys, it got really messy. It got really ugly. But I've seen stories where it's gotten even worse. So mine is not the worst story in the world. It's not the worst example in the world. But again, that whole page of everything we just covered in an hour and 15 minutes is all not just stuff that I've researched. Like I said, this all happened in real life. I've had to experience it all. And I would hope that if you're watching this and you're trying to get out of this, that you get the help you need, you manage to get out of it and understand it's time to start rebuilding, for the next book in your life as well. I appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch, just taking the time away from your life to share a peace of mind and watch what I have to say. if you like, you can go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. I got a couple of videos on there already. I want to start participating in it more because I have a lot of things to say, and I think it's about time to start getting this stuff out here. Not necessarily the details of my relationship, but instead of what the aftermath of it looks like, what everything that culminated into this whole thing falling apart, and then what it looks like afterwards, and can you really rebuild your life, and what it's going to take. And it's a lot of work, guys, it really is, but it's the only way out. It's the only way out from all the BS that comes along with this stuff. And again, like I said, getting in a relationship with a narcissist, I wouldn't recommend it. Getting back together with them, probably not a really good idea. I've tried it, guys, and if you're down with a lot of heartbreak and a lot of stress, a lot of BS, hey, that's on you, but I wouldn't suggest it at all. I appreciate you guys again. If you want to like the video, feel free to do so. You guys have any comments, or you have anything you want me to talk about, or you want to know anything, you know, about me or my situation or what I've learned over the last 6 years. Again, I don't have the clinical background for this, so I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not even a therapist. I just share what's happened in my life, and I think that these kind of videos are the most effective ones when it comes to dealing with a narcissist, seeing it first person. What's it really look like, you know? Rather, I mean, the experts are the experts, and it's great, but unless they've been directly involved recently and not 30 years ago, yeah, I mean, these kinds of videos here by people who are willing to share and open up and say, like, this is what my life looked like, and this is what it looks like now, and maybe that'll be one of the things I cover later. But again, if there's something you guys want me to share, if there's a comment you need to make, just put it in the comment section. If you want to subscribe to the channel, do that as well. Do what you want to do. It's a free world, right, guys? But I appreciate all your time, guys. It is now 1:08 in the morning on now Friday morning. We got a show to do tomorrow. Well, we'll be rolling up in there in a couple hours because all our moves are late at night. This is why I'm up at 1. Like, why are you doing this so late at night? That's why. All the moves, whenever you're doing tours, everything is done late at night. It just makes sense, right, guys? Like, got a long string of trucks, and you know, we got to get to the venue. We got to load all the equipment in. They got to build everything. You know, hang out, do all your testing, all that stuff. While we're just sitting here sleeping in the middle of the day. Show goes on in the evening. What happens when the show is over? Everything comes back down, goes on the trucks, off to the next city we go. All of that stuff happens. For our work happens in the middle of the night. You know, so I appreciate you guys watching the channel. I really do, and hopefully this helps you. And if I keep going, I'll just keep babbling forever. But again, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks again.